We are launching an investigation, not into a company, not into a politician, but into your paycheck. We're going to show you how a so-called pay raise is actually one of the biggest pay cuts in recent memory. Seriously, imagine that. You get what looks like good news, but when the dust settles, your bank account is short 12 grand. This isn't some scare tactic. For thousands of Canadian public servants, this is the math they're facing right now. The mandatory return to the office isn't just an inconvenience, it's a financial cliff. So today, we're following the money. Okay, so to understand how this works, you have to look at the official story first. The Treasury Board came out with what, on paper, looks totally reasonable. Public servants got a pay increase, a standard cost of living adjustment. It was a 3% raise. So let's take a mid-level employee, maybe making around $80,000. For them, that's an extra $2,400 in gross pay a year. That's the number that makes the headlines. It's the number you see on paper. It's the promise.
Okay, stop. Hold on a second. How on earth do we get from a $2,400 promise to an almost $12,000 loss? That math doesn't add up. It doesn't just cancel out the raise, it absolutely obliterates it and then digs a massive hole. You have to explain this.
All right, the evidence trail begins the second the return to office mandate, or RTO, became official policy. The moment that happened, it triggered a whole cascade of new, completely unavoidable costs. And let's be clear, these are lifestyle choices. These are mandatory expenses you have to pay just to do your job. The single biggest gut punch for most people: downtown parking. We're looking at Ottawa's new municipal max rate of $26 a day. You do that 4 days a week, and suddenly you're out nearly $5,000 a year.
Wait. Run that math again? That is more than double the entire after-tax raise? Your whole raise is gone, plus another couple grand, and you haven't even put gas in the car yet. That's actually insane.
Exactly. And we're just getting started. Next up is what we're calling the coffee and lunch tax. Downtown food prices have shot up 27% since 2021. So just grabbing a simple coffee and a sandwich 4 days a week, that's another $2,500 a year. Gone. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just take the bus to avoid those parking fees, think again. An OC Transpo monthly pass in Ottawa is going to set you back over $1,600 a year. Sure, it's cheaper than parking, but it's a huge new expense that was zero when you were working from home. And it's just a death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it? It's the gas for the commute, the extra wear and tear on your car, you have to buy professional clothes now. And let's not forget, you lose that $500 home office tax credit from the CRA. It just keeps piling on. And when you finally add it all up, the full picture is pretty grim. Back in 2021, at peak remote work, an employee was actually ahead by $500 because of that tax credit. Fast forward to 2026, and they are facing over $11,700 in new costs. The net swing is a loss of nearly $12,000.
That is actually terrifying math.
So is everyone taking this same financial hit, or somehow does it get even more unfair depending on what building you're assigned to?
Oh, it gets worse. Welcome to the location lottery, where your actual take-home pay is decided by which side of a river your desk is on.
So let's look at the two biggest government hubs in the capital region. If you work in Ottawa at Tunney's Pasture, the city has approved a daily max parking rate of $26. But if you work just across the Ottawa River in Gatineau at Portage, the max rate is only $20. Are you kidding me? So just because your desk happens to be in Ottawa instead of Gatineau, you are automatically penalized over $1,000 more per year just for the privilege of parking your car? That's absurd. It is. $1,152. That's the annual price of a river. Because of different municipal rules, your personal RTO tax is 23% higher on the Ontario side. Same job, same government, completely different pay cut. All right, this is just infuriating. There has to be a way to fight back, a loophole. You know people are going to try and game this system to save some cash. They're not just going to take this line down. Okay, let's go back to transit. That monthly pass is for people going in 5 days a week, right? But most people are only going in 3 or 4 days. So what if you don't buy the pass? Surely just paying per day has to be cheaper, right? That's the logical assumption, and it is a trap. Let's just walk through the math here. In Ottawa, one round trip on OC Transpo costs $8.20. If you go in 4 days a week, that's 16 days a month. Your total monthly cost is $131.20. The monthly pass
It's $138.50.
So, after all that careful planning, managing every single trip, not buying the pass, your grand total in monthly savings is $7.30. The system is mathematically designed to make buying the pass the only logical choice, no matter how often you actually go in.
$7? All that effort for the price of 2 coffees. It feels like it's designed to make you just give up.
And that brings us to the final verdict. Because when you put all the evidence together, the phantom raise, the non-negotiable costs, the location lottery, the transit trap, there's really only one conclusion you can draw.
That 3% gross raise, which after taxes is more like 1.9%, or about $1,600, is completely and utterly erased by over $11,000 in new annual costs. For anyone who is working from home, this RTO mandate is an effective salary reduction of around 11%. Their real net income just plummets.
And look, this isn't just us doing some fancy math. This is the lived reality for these employees. If you go on Reddit to the Canada Public Servants community, the feeling is crystal clear. One person there just nailed it. The 3% raise doesn't even cover the gas and parking for the 3 days they want me in the office. It's a pay cut in all but name. Which leaves us with one last massive question. The official justification for forcing everyone back to the office is to save our struggling downtowns. But if that's really the goal, why is the government asking its own employees to foot the entire bill? Why is the economic recovery of our cities being paid for directly out of the pockets of public servants?